people who have gathered here. The soaking rain has not affected our desire to carry forward. Though we did have to take shelter for about 25-30 minutes while 60-mile-an-hour winds gusted through this space where we had everything set up for this vigil with all of you. But you're all out there, so we're going to get you to the point where we can actually all share what we're doing. And, you know, if you have to leave, it's okay. But if not, it's so grateful to be here. Now, would you be willing to share what you're doing? No? Okay. We have, let me hear somebody I'm going to introduce you to. Hi. So I'm Brad.
Okay.
And right now there was people tuned in to watch the vigil.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, would you be willing to share what brought you here?
I can try.
Okay. So what's your name?
My name is Alicia.
And who's this?
This is my dad, Chuck. And he died on January 1st after being in the hospital for 18 days. He was hospitalized on his 59th birthday.
One rando idea that I thought of.
Looks like he caught us. He's a fisherman.
Yeah, he was a fisherman. I was with him. I took that picture. We were on the river. One of many fishing trips that I never get to do again.
What brought you here today?
So I'm part of a Facebook group for people who have lost others to COVID, and I heard about the event. I live nearby, and I knew that I needed to come out and show my support and just show people that, you know, COVID is still real, and it's still horrible, and we can stop it. So.
We can, and by showing up today, despite all this rain, and coming out here, I think that really means a lot to your dad and to all of us who are here. And I know to these, if you can see everyone out there, if you're watching, you know, maybe you could share some love. What was your name again?
Alicia.
Alicia, and your dad's name is
Chuck.
Alicia and Chuck. If you guys can share some love for Alicia and Chuck, that would be really sweet, because this is a beautiful connection, and to honor Chuck here is what we're here for. Thank you. What about you, sir? Would you be willing to share who you're here today to honor?
I'm here to honor my husband,
Who's also my brother.
All right, you guys,
Chad,
we're gonna get
who
started.
died of COVID at the age of 49 March of 2020.
He was one of the earlier victims of the pandemic, and was diagnosed with COVID even before the country shut down.
So we're gonna try to talk as loud as
Country shut
possible.
down a week after that.
And I'm gonna have
Okay, so right now we're about to ask. Thank you so much. And we send our love to Chad, and it's so great to be here. Now we're going to turn to actually listen to some words from Kristen as we're starting the actual vigil. Again, you are live at the White House. 1 second.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being with us here today. Little bumps in the road, but I think the fact that we are all still standing here actually demonstrates a big theme that I wanted to talk to tonight as we have this vigil for our loved ones who have been lost. Is that the virus or politics is not going to stop us from being the voice for not only ourselves, but the voice for people who have lost their lives from COVID, who deserve to be honored, who deserve to be remembered, and who should be here with us today.
That's right. That's right.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kristen or Kisa. I'm one of the co-founders of Marked by COVID, which is a grassroots organization founded by and led by people who've been directly and severely harmed by this pandemic. Marked by COVID is working with 11 other organizations over the course of this week to have different events to not only honor our loved ones and call for more action, but also to talk directly to our elected officials in the first ever COVID lobby days. In these lobby days, we are working to advance our call for a permanent COVID Memorial Day, a space and time in our calendar every single year so we can honor those who have been lost, make that commitment to never forget, but to also ensure that we remember the lessons learned so that we can pass on the infinite wisdom of our lived experience onto future generations so that they can have better outcomes. I think it's important for us to really take a moment to connect with the fact that we have lost 610,000 people in this country. 610,000 people that we are remembering here tonight, whose lives not only mattered, but who were irreplaceable. As many of you probably know, evidence is growing that many of these deaths could have been prevented had we acted swiftly and decisively from day one. Right. But we didn't. And here we are today, about to emerge into a third surge. A surge that is being fed by a variant that time is on its side. And what I see happening is not the country uniting, but the country further dividing. I was interacting with somebody on Twitter just a couple of days ago who recently lost not one, but two of her parents, both of her parents. Luckily, she was an adult, so she didn't become a child under 18 who's an orphan, which, by the way, there are many orphans now because of this pandemic. Are we prepared as a country to allow their lives to be in financial ruin because of this? But I was talking to this woman who told me that almost every person out in the world who she says, I lost my parents to, the first thing that they ask her, the first thing that they say is, were they vaccinated? When my dad first died in June of 2020, a year ago, the thing that people asked me was, did he have a pre-existing condition? That's not what you say to somebody when their loved one dies. It does not matter. But what matters is that right now we are living in a place where our elected officials are pushing a message that is all about the unvaccinated being a problem. Once again, neighbors are fighting neighbors, and we are not fighting our common enemy, which is this virus. So that's why we have partnered with these dozen organizations that represent people all across the country, as well as folks around the world. We come from small rural communities. We come from big major cities. We come from places that are red, places that are blue, places that are purple, and everywhere in between. And we are united through our grief to send a clear message that not even the rain can stop us because we are a force of nature. And we don't have a choice because they didn't have a choice. And they should be here. So we must persevere, we must fight, and we must unite. That's why this week we are calling for the Biden administration to recommend mask mandates or mask recommendations again so we can slow the spread, so that we can protect more people and not grow this community of mourners. It's also why we're calling for the establishment of a permanent Memorial Day so that we can properly honor those. We're working towards permanent memorials, not only here, but in places all across the country. A commission to ensure that we actually document what really happened so that we can have the truth to pass on to future generations to never forget, and to apply learnings to better to the next crisis that hits us. We're also working to ensure that we have the resources set aside to not only prevent future pandemics by stopping pandemic zoonosis, which is disease transferring from wildlife to humans before it happens, as well as ensuring that we do not cut our reconciliation budget from 30 billion to 5 billion for things like PPE. There is so much work to be done, but I am confident that we can do it because of this group of people here, the people who are joining us on Zoom, and the people who are looking at what's happening online. So thank you all for being here today, for being here, for fighting for yourselves to honor your loved ones, and for sticking through some really bizarre weather.
Force of nature. We're a force of nature.
We're a force of nature. Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to start the ceremony part of the vigil. And then we will move into a song and then close out our time together with a couple of our memorial partners to talk about developments and the importance of memorial. So I'm going to turn it over to some friends of mine to run through some of the names in which we are going to read tonight, of which many of you have submitted and others online have submitted to honor their memory. I invite you all to, if you need to take a step forward to hear, go ahead and do so. But these are people that we've lost, that we are remembering right now. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name's Caitlin Culpepper. I'm from Dallas, Texas, by way of El Paso. I lost my mom, Genevieve. I am one part of Team Texas. We have a COVID a hub in Texas that's marked by COVID hub, and my two other counterparts are here also, cold and wet, but nonetheless we persist. So we're going to go ahead and start by reading off the names of those that you guys have submitted and that have been lost. So I'll go ahead and start. Give me a second, because there are a lot of names. We did have printed out photos of your loved ones that you sent, but we wanted to preserve those, so we put them away because the brain was too much. So we'll go ahead and start with the person who inspired all of this and inspired Kristen Mark-Pisa. Antonio Crisafulli. John and Jay Zimmerman. Brendan Maxwell. Alfredo and Susana Pavateo. Ernest Ayers, Jr. Anna Mafaka. Ania Cipriano. Patricia Pellin. Anna Profaka. Edward Louis. James Culver. Mary Gamble. My mother, Genevieve Martinez. Richard J. Longo. Isabel Odette Popovich. I can't say that one. That one's sorry. Izzy. Obi. Jose Munoz. Carl Vichareo. Ronald West. Alan Chodes. Nicholas. Sorry, I don't want to butcher these. Nicholas D. Debbie Johnston. Tammy Mezigeron. Steve Golding. Blanca and Juan Rodriguez. Linda Mailcoat. Eric Colleen. Stephen Luberita. Bob Aldrich. Richard Corvasi. Eugene Signorelli. Rose Phillips. Gary J. Cetrine. Iris Camacho. Stanley A. Miklas. Lawrence Clover. Jewel Shaw. Harvey Fetterman. Paul Letzi. Antonio Lowe Petzi.
Paul Bond, Annette Eli, Don Riley, Robert Northup, Sam Engel, Angelo Greco Jr., Donald Placey, Norma Hassel, Ellie Drago, Robert Alexander McDonald, Todd A. Dickey, John S. Westcott, Kenneth Brindley, Jerry Granthorne Benvenido, Anthony Garcia, Lisa Goldstraw, Carl Hollies, Peter Gearhart, Linda Santone, Rex York, Michael G. Matt Pother, Sr., Byron Ron, Evelyn Hengson, John Walt, Joseph Allen Burt, Lo Jensen, Joan Baranek, Freddie Garza, David Perez, Stephanie Carducci, Santiago Camacho, Rami Samman, Russell Murray, Chris Wolton, Jerry Webb, Trudy Tote, Michael Ray Mays, Manuel Juarez, Joy Marie Burt, Martin Addison, Edward Hughes, Nigel Mohammed, Joe Leandri, Frank LaPegna, Richard Muir, Susan Dell, Dean Perkins, Keith Jacobs, Robert Sidor, Matthew Stefanik, Maureen and Kenneth, William Ames, Simon Mendez, Michael Parisi, Ralph Studio, John Joseph Pabicki III, Wilmard Santiago, Michael O'Neill, Paul Abramson, John Estempador, Mary Lou Lopez Santiago, Bradley Charters, Roseanne Marie Fox, Francis Griffithor, Jimmy D. Gaither, Michael Angel Cortez, Ronald Meyer, Luis Gonzalez, Joseph Anthony Pamela Mamozlias, Stephen Nemnow, Jeanette Nunez, Elizabeth Lamberty, Roy Hutton, Michael Yates. I'm going to pass this very long list over to my counterpart, Carly. Thank you guys for listening to this first half. I think earlier while Carly's getting ready, we went to a restaurant and one of the bartenders was hearing some of our stories, or one of the servers, and he said that it was so touching to have us all there, and that if we went and visited the Vietnam Memorial and walked around it X amount of times, it still wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't cover the amount of loss that we've had. And if you go to that monument and you see and you know it's 10 times more than what we've lost, that's heartbreaking, and it's not right, and it's not just. And that's why we endure the storm. That's why we carry through. And I'm so proud to stand with Kristen, who's given us all a voice, and with my team from Texas, Chloe, who's here from Cherish and Remember, everybody who's come out for us. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Carly.
Beautiful job.
Everyone, I'm Carly. I'm from Texas. I lost my father to COVID in April 2020, last year. And now I'm going to read
some names, and I apologize in advance if I pronounce something wrong. Rosa Tootie Frigo, Jackie Hutton, Jorge Valchez, Terry Overcracker Sr., Kathleen Sloan, James H. Alsip, Dawn and Sandy Mabon, Manuel Carmelo Ruiz, Eduardo Perez Jr., Nakisa Hutton, Fred Brasso, Hector Ruiz, Janine Cottle and Becky Matthews, Miguel L. Garcia, Barbara Marco, Bill Cannon, Scott Libby, Ed Horowitz, Jerry Boyd, Norma Pimentel, Scott Stevens, Tiffany Oritz, Eddie Manuera Sr., Faye Iluma Ada Valquez, Chip May, Becky Smart, Eduardo Perez Jr. and Hector David Ruiz, Jean Belittle Gigi, Christy Wickham, Mike Gilson, Brenda Gilbert Womack, Philippe Robin Usan Sr., Margerstein Daniels, Michaela Jones, Audrey Sickles, Marjorie Levy, Mona Lisa Peters, Robert Weber, Scott Hirsch, Linda Towns, Lionel G. Tusa, William B. Francis III, Richard Brink, Zachary Overy, Alan F. Paul, or Al, John and Judy Trebowitz, Trebowitzowski, sorry, Scott Barron, Teresa Valurel, Virginia Jenny Burton, Barbara Joss, Jose Raul Escobar, Jose Manuel Ruiz, Larissa Johnson Acramini, Patrick Key, Carlos Almananza, Randy Whipple, Anthony Nespoli, Jean Adams, Mauricio Prestoso, Ramesh Kubasa, Martin B. Cole Jr., Libby Sharp, Frank Furr, David Gonzalez, Joe Hinton, Francisco Rodriguez, Alicia Rodriguez, de Tirina, Debbie Keaton, Charles M. Jinks Jr., Betty Bates, Cynthia Ryan, Carmen Arango, Luis Indias Camacho, Sergeant Alex Arango, Deborah Cribb, James D. Vance, Robert Gorgratz, Ed Hicks, E. Clayton Evans Jr., Juan Carlos Rangel, Matt Cortini, Carolyn Lynn Evans, Andrew Dugante, Orla Dawn Dimitriadis, Manuel Flores, Jennifer Beeson, Fred Ochoa, William Bridgeford, Donald Mills, Charlie Krebs, my father Mike Horton, Joe Hinton, Anthony Fadis, Leodegrio Aquino, John J. Kelly, Dwayne L. Ocho Denicki, Butch Thompson, Louis Puerta, Vivencio Garcia Jr., Ragalio Ro Lechua, Vivencio Garcia Jr., Paul C. Hinckley Jr., Elazar Mourn Jr., Lillian Garcia, Patricia Jasmine Algoon, Paul Gregg, Kathy Swanger, Betty Magoo, Paul Dunn, William Bill Pervinek Sr., Stephen Kurowski, Robert McGinnis, Terry Meadows, Dalton Brown, Christina Kroll, Ann Glover Miller, Martin Veronis, Fran Kapp, Vivian Metzler. Thank you. My friend Rose.
Hi, everyone. I'm here from Team Texas, and I lost my dad to COVID a year ago.
mourn him on my shirt. And I just want to remind everyone that, all these names that we're saying out loud, there were people we loved. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. Richard Altamare, Julio J. Rusali, Ernie Rubin, Douglas Lawton, Freddie Freda, Basilios Dula, Mark Hightower, Kevin Hort, Patricia Fox, James Ambrosch, John C. Fantasier, Jason Tomlinson, Henry Haas, Alan Milan, Pablo Marin, Kyle Cruz, Joe Stacy, Joe Medina, Debbie Woodbury, Donald M. Lucas, Lolita Irby, Santos Gomez, Dennis Charles Pirlo, Peter Junks, Dwayne A. Cook, Eliezer Grego, George Robert, Tim Volkai, Tom and Rosemary Turfay, Christopher Carney, John Tome Jr., Paula Vargas, Moises Torres, Francis Joffrey, Danny Harrell, Adam J. Russo, Luis Rosario, Joe Vilches, David Coxon, Andy Rotman Said, Julius Juki Stabo, Paul L. GAC, William Bryson, Jean Belio Gigi, Miriam Abon, Rose Del Piso, Charles Gibson, Diane Carlson, Robert W. Sieglitz, Philip Eastman, Sherry Wasserback Walker, William Bolinsky, Joseph Trevor Fletcher, David R. Gonzalez, Todd Dickey, Tina Dankowitz, Thomas Mikowski, and Mary Cook. And right now, if you're present and you lost a loved one and we missed their names, can you please say their names loudly? So from left to right.
You can also add it in the chat there.
Andre London.
Kevin Ford. Thank you. Who's going to sing for us a little bit in honor of our loved ones that we've just listed. May they all rest in peace and in power.
Thank you. I was present at the Belmar Memorial, Ramis Hearts. There was only about 20 of us, and it was a celebration of his birthday. And I just kind of sang out of the moment. No one asked me to. It was around St. Patrick's Day, so I sang Danny Boy. Just felt fitting. But today I'm going to be singing Ave Maria. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Ave Maria, gratia plena,
Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui in Iesu. Ave Maria.
Thank you, everyone. We're now going to turn it over to Rima, who is the founder of Rami's Heart COVID-19 Memorial, to talk a little bit about memorials and the importance of them, the work that she's doing. So we have several memorials joining us tonight, in unity. So I'm going to have Chloe, who's a representative of Cherish and Remember, come up to give her speech. They have an online memorial that's free where you can submit your loved one and submit photos and a bio. We have collaborated with them. So Chloe, you want to come on up?
I was thinking, listening to that song, about how many names I recognize. And some were names I put there. And some were names from the story. If you don't know what Barb and I have been doing, we, about a year and a half ago, in March of 2020, when we didn't know what this was going to turn out to be, we already identified a need to remember those suffering and those that we lost. And when we started, there was no way for us to know how great the need was going to be to remember. And as I was listening to that list and recognizing many names, I simultaneously felt incredibly sad that I recognized so many names, and incredibly humbled that they weren't names, they were stories, and they were faces, they were memories. I wrote just a few memories that were shared with me that I wanted to share with all of you. And as you'll notice, some of the names are on the list we just heard. So this is from Shelley McAuthor about her father, Michael. She emailed us a photo and simply said he mattered so much. This is Lynn White. She wrote this about her fiance, Lacey Carroll, and said he was loved by everyone who knew him, and he will never be forgotten. This is Evelyn Knutson about her brother, Butch Thompson. She was describing how empty his memorial felt, and said we got together, and everyone left. No real talking or remembering about how things were, and no closure for me. She later went on to thank us for giving her a place to remember him, and I'm thankful we remembered him here as well. And finally, this is from Priscilla Velasquez about her sister Navidad. She said, my sister didn't know she would leave this world without saying goodbye to her favorite people in the world. Our sisterly memories will live within me forever. And We're really humbled and honored to be here today, and really humbled and honored to be able to hopefully create a space for some of those memories with Barb. And I hope that anyone who would like to share photos, memories, memorial, an obituary, a favorite story, a favorite song, a video, anything, will reach out to us. We would love to give them a place.
So my name is Rima. Some of you already know who I am, and some of you may not know me. I lost my brother on May 10th of last year, which was Mother's Day. He was only 40 years old. It was the peak of the pandemic. Funeral services were basically non-existent, and he died in isolation, and we basically returned to isolation. So we never got, funeral service. We didn't get to follow the normal society way of celebrating, well, not celebrating, but saying goodbye to somebody. So when my brother's birthday came up this year on January 25th of 2021, I was still grieving for him, so I decided to build a heart on the beaches of Belmar Beach in New Jersey. I painted clamshells yellow and shaped them into a heart, and we took pebble stones and began to write people's names. That evening, I was joined by 20 strangers that were from my community that I'd never met before in my life. And they came and they stood and helped me honor my brother, and we honored their loved ones as well. That evening, the heart hit social media, and the following morning, we woke up to over 198 requests asking us to add their loved one's name inside the heart. So my partner, Travis Whitaker, and I began on this journey of writing names on rocks and building these hearts on the beach. One heart turned into two, two turned into four, four turned into six, six turned into eight, and eight turned into 10, bearing over 2,000 names. At that point, we knew that the hearts would have to come off the beach pretty soon. A storm hit, and the water started to reach the hearts. We spent about an evening or two just praying that the hearts would be okay. And when we went back, there wasn't much damage at all. However, the first heart was affected by the water at the very tip where my brother's rock was. There were about 25 stones missing, so I started to dig through the sand, and I found all the stones but my brother's. I spent 10 minutes digging through sand to find a pebble with my brother's name on it. Hysterical. When I finally found it, Travis looked at me and he said, "Now you know why these hearts mean so much to other people." So on that day, we made a decision that it was time to preserve the hearts. I stayed up late at night writing multiple letters to senators, to our governor, with zero replies. I begged people online to write letters as well, to make phone calls, and yet we were faced with no replies. It was at that moment Travis and I knew that we had to take this into our own hands. We began a nonprofit, and we began a GoFundMe fund, which has grown to over $40,000 at this time. We found a carpenter who volunteered to build shadow boxes, and we began to store the hearts, each one in their individual box, displaying them the way they used to be on the beach. Although we announced we were pausing the project, random strangers went overnight and built an 11th heart, which filled quickly. And then a random stranger went overnight and built a 12 part, which filled quickly. Now we were up to 3,000 names. Yet still no reply from our governor, still no reply from our senators. In the past couple weeks, we've diligently searched for a location for these hearts. We've received multiple requests, multiple letters asking us if somebody can come and view the heart. The reality is, it's the only tangible thing we have. There is a need for us to see our loved one's name displayed. For many of you that may not have been impacted by this pandemic, you may not understand why a rock or a pebble in between some painted shells might mean something. But besides this memorial, all that's left is a tiny box of my brother's ashes and pictures that I still have of him in my phone. That is all that remains. Saturday, we officially signed a contract and we have found a permanent location, making us the first memorial in the entire nation for COVID-19 that honors the lives lost throughout the USA and even some out internationally. I'm here today joining Marked by COVID and Kristen to let you know, to anybody that's listening, whether it's President Biden, whether it's the senators, whether it's our state representatives, the reality is we were ignored, but we still made it happen. As people continue to lose a loved one, this group grows and grows. And we need you to help us. There is nothing political about this pandemic. I ask that anybody that's listening to understand that we need you to set aside your political parties. We need you to come together instead and help us heal, because this nation is hurting. And as divided as we may be, you are supposed to be our leaders. You're supposed to be helping us. We shouldn't be begging you to help us. You should be answering our phone calls rather than putting us on hold and letting us know that if this matter interests you, you'll call me back. Throughout this memorial, I've met some beautiful people. I met Sheila Ayers, who lost her mother, Audrey, who sat on the beach and helped us log each and every name so that we made sure that we didn't miss anybody. I met Lorraine Jacobs, who lost her father, and in support of helping us trying to get our governor's attention, opened a petition online. And despite the fact that it grew, and no matter how many signatures it obtained, we still could not get any answers from our governor. I met Jessica Ayers, who started a petition online, which is almost over 6,000 signatures at this point. And despite the fact we still can't get any answers as far as going forward with the national holiday. I met Stacy Roman, who lost her father, John Westcott, who put together the first nationwide walk where it allowed anybody anywhere in the nation to take a walk and helped us raise over $3,000 to make this memorial happen. Today, I stand with representatives of 4 different memorials. We have the COVID memorial quilts, the COVID Hope quilt, one from the East Coast, one from the West Coast. We have Cherish and Remember. We have the Rose River memoirs, which are from California. The reality, as the number continues to grow, more memorials are going to pop up. We stand here with 11 other organizations to let you know, no matter what, we're not going anywhere. We will continue to persevere. We will continue to push forward until our voices are heard. Just like today's storm, I'm drenched in rain, but we stayed. We didn't give up, and we're here to speak about things. So I'm asking you to help us. Lastly, what many people do not know that meet me, We migrated to the U.S. in 1989. We were raised in Beirut, Lebanon, and we were there during a war. I bear a scar on my back from being shot as a casualty. So I say this to let you know the magnitude of the things my brother and I have seen growing up. There is nothing that will haunt me more than my mom holding my brother's lifeless body and crying my baby. My brother should have never died. We need to move forward with the COVID-19 commission. We need to figure out where we went wrong, why my brother and 609,000 people are not here today. How many of those deaths could we have prevented? Could we have set aside our differences? There is nothing more patriotic in this country than standing together and helping each other. It is time. It is time that we stop arguing over masks. It is time we stop arguing over our political parties and who should be in the White House and who shouldn't be in the White House, and instead helping our neighbors and helping each other. In the meantime, we need to honor the ones that we lost, because the reality is the number is going to increase. And if we don't, we are going to lose many more that we can prevent from dying. That's it. Thank you, guys.
That concludes our official program for the evening. Thank you for being here, and please, take some time to be with each other. Think about Rima's message. It's about unity, and it's about love. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. I've been your humbled, privileged reporter on the street, getting us through this rain. And then you stayed all for the vigil, and we just appreciate how your presence here with all of us today. And from the bottom of all of our hearts, just appreciate this community that we're building. And I've seen so many of the comments that you've made in the chat, and it's been very beautiful. So I'm just going to share again, look at this memorial that they built. And you can take a screenshot of this. I'll try to get them to share images of the photo montages out with your community marked by COVID. And thank you again for being here. My name is Brad from Reimagine, letsreimagine.org. That is a platform to support everybody out there in transforming the hard parts of life, loss and grief and death, into opportunities for growth. And I think that's what we're seeing here tonight: growth and action and justice. So thank you again for being here. And on behalf of Marked by COVID, I hope you all continue to hold these names in your hearts. Thanks again. And thank you so much also to Bill, for setting up this live stream for all of us. It's been really great and very unexpected, but just big shout out to Bill for all the technical work that you put into making this happen. It's very appreciated. Yeah, Bill, if you can save the chat, everyone here would love to see the chat because I think there was so much love in the chat today. It'd be really nice for folks here. It's been a really emotional day. I can say that much.
Oh yeah, definitely. I will definitely save the chat, and I also recorded the vigil as well, so that'll be available.
I'm definitely apologize for my shaky hands. It's freezing and I have a bad back, but I got through it together. So it's my first camera work in this type of environment.
Oh, you did fantastic. It's hard to do. I'm still sharing links to all the partner organizations. I'm sorry it's taking so long. I'm having to kind of go back and forth here. It's just going to take me a couple more minutes to have all these shared out to everyone.
So in attendance here today, we had, I mean, I think there was going to be over 100, but now there was maybe, I would say maybe 50 people here. But I mean, again, if you weren't here earlier, there was a thunderous rainstorm that took place. Oh, no worries. And so we're totally soaked, and now we're just here wet, but part of this beautiful vigil. All right, Bill, are you done? When you feel like I want to make sure we get all the links out there, and I'll stay with you guys until we get the links. But you can see, people are hugging over here. People are just gathering. It's been a lot of emotion because I feel like the vigil is gonna end it, and then we rallied, and you saw and heard those beautiful speeches, and the sadness and the love and the passion to create a better situation for all of our losses and all of our love, and also for folks moving forward, how we can memorialize and remember those that are no longer here with us, and make sure that really there's some justice for all the families and all the victims, and that our government steps up to meet this moment. But it's only going to happen with the work for all these people that are here and all of you, and braving all these rainstorms together.
Okay, Brad,